Let's break down one of the most intriguing boxing matchups of 2026, Teofimo Lopez versus Rolly Romero. This is a fascinating fight because these two have known each other for years. They've sparred together and are now putting all of that history aside with a world title on the line. Romero will be defending the WBA welterweight championship. Lopez is moving up to 147 pounds for the first time after losing his WBO junior welterweight title to Shakur Stevenson. Romero, meanwhile, is coming up the biggest win of his career over Ryan Garcia. And that gives us a fascinating question. Can Teofimo's speed, timing, and boxing ability overcome Romero's size, power, and awkwardness at 147 pounds? Let's break it down. Let's start with Teofimo, the takeover Lopez. At his best, Lopez is one of the most explosive and talented fighters in boxing. He's already been a world champion at lightweight and junior welterweight, and now he's attempting to become a three-weight division champion. But this fight comes at an interesting point in his career because Lopez is coming off the worst performance of his career against Shakur Stevenson. So this isn't just about winning another title, it's about proving Teofimo Lopez is still an elite fighter. And when it comes to his fight style, the one thing you have to talk about is his explosive athleticism. When Teofimo is firing at all cylinders, he's incredibly athletic. He has fast hands, explosive footwork, excellent reflexes, sudden burst of power. He can go from looking completely relaxed to throwing a fight-changing combination in an instant, and that leads to his counter punching. This is one of Teofimo Lopez's biggest weapons. He doesn't always want to lead. He can sit back, read his opponent's movement, and explode with counters. That's especially dangerous against an aggressive fighter like Rolly. And of course, we have to talk about his power as well. Teofimo Lopez has legitimate power, but how much of that power carries up to 147 pounds? That's something we'll find out on fight night. We also have to talk about his versatility as well. Lopez can fight at different ranges. He can box, he can counter, he can pressure, and he can switch between orthodox and southpaw looks. When his mentality is locked in, he's extremely difficult to read. Now, when we take a quick look at Lopez's last 5 fights, lost against Shakur Stevenson. He talked a lot of smack before that fight and ended up apologizing for slavery, which I found hilarious. Before that, had a unanimous decision win against Arnold Barboza Jr., Steve Coggett, Jermaine Ortiz, Josh Taylor. Lopez's victory over Josh Taylor won him the WBO and Ring Junior welterweight titles, while his most recent fight against Shakur ended with him losing those belts. That makes this fight a massive opportunity for redemption. Now let's talk about Rolly Romero. Rolly is one of the most unpredictable fighters in boxing. He doesn't always look technically conventional, but that's part of what makes him dangerous. And right now, he's the WBA welterweight champion. We have to talk about his power when talking about his fight style. This is Rolly's biggest weapon in my opinion. He has legitimate knockout power. His punches are awkward, explosive, and sometimes difficult to see coming. But his power isn't always about perfect technique. Sometimes it's simply the sheer force behind the shot. And that leads to his awkwardness. Rolly is extremely unconventional. His punches come from unusual angles. His rhythm isn't always predictable, and that's frustrating for technically polished fighters. You can prepare for textbook boxing. It's harder to prepare for someone who doesn't always fight by the textbook. And we also have to talk about his physicality as well. At 147 pounds, Romero is naturally suited to the division. He's bigger and physically stronger than the version of Teofimo we're used to seeing at 135 and 140. And that could become extremely important if the fight gets to the later rounds, which I think it most likely would. We also have to talk about Rolly's confidence. Rolly's confidence is one of his biggest weapons, and beating Ryan Garcia changed the conversation around him totally. He wasn't supposed to win that fight. It was set up for Garcia to win, but he boxed intelligently and earned a unanimous decision over Garcia in May 2025. This was Garcia coming off his win over Devin Haney, which he got caught for using PEDs. That victory earned him the WBA welterweight title, and now he gets his first defense against a fighter he knows extremely well. And speaking about his fight with Ryan Garcia, just take a look at his last 5 fights. Unanimous win against Ryan Garcia, had a decision win against Manuel Jimenez, had a loss against Isaac Cruz, and had a TKO win against Esmael Barroso, and had a decision loss against Jackson Mariñez. The Ryan Garcia victory is obviously the standout, and it's important because Rolly didn't win by simply landing one giant punch. He showed that he could box intelligently over 12 rounds. Now let's get to the fun part of this, because stylistically this fight is fascinating. It's pretty much speed versus power. Teofimo has the speed, he has the explosiveness, he has the counter punching, he has the footwork, he has the timing. Rolly has the power, he has the size, he has the physicality, he has the awkward angles, and he has the pressure. This is essentially precision versus unpredictability. The biggest question is who controls the distance, in my opinion. This could decide the entire fight. Teofimo wants enough distance to see Rolly's punches come in, then he wants to explode in and out. Rolly wants to make Teofimo uncomfortable. He wants to close the distance, make the exchanges physical, and force Teofimo to a fight. If Teofimo controls the distance, I like his chances. If Rolly turns into a phone booth fight, things get much more interesting. And we have to talk about the elephant in the room at 147 pound. This is perhaps the biggest X factor in this fight. Teofimo is moving up to welterweight for the first time. Rolly has already established his base at 147. That doesn't automatically mean Romero wins, don't get me wrong, but size does matter, especially when you're dealing with two fighters who rely heavily on explosiveness. Teofimo has to prove that he can maintain his speed and power against a naturally bigger opponent. Now, when it comes to the paths of victory, for Teofimo Lopez, the blueprint is pretty clear. He's going to try his best not to get drawn into a war, and this is really critical. Honestly speaking, it really is. Teofimo shouldn't try. He's going to try his best not to prove that he can stand in front of Rolly and trade power shots. That's giving Romero exactly what he wants. He's going to try to use his feet. Teofimo needs to constantly change angles, and I see him doing that. That's something he does when he's locked in. Get in, land, get out. He's going to try not to stand directly in front of Rolly after combinations. And we have to talk about the counter aggression. Rolly is going to make mistakes. He always does. Teofimo needs to make him pay. That's what he's going to try to do. The jab can bring Rolly forward, and the right hand, left hook, or counter combination can follow. That's something you can always look forward to in Teofimo Lopez. He's going to also try to attack the body. This could become a huge weapon later in the fight. If Teofimo attacks the body early, he can slow down Rolly and make his movement less explosive. When it comes to the paths of victory for Rolly Romero, the plan is almost the opposite. He's going to try his best to make it physical. He's going to try to lean on Teofimo, push him backward, make him fight at 147 pounds. He's going to try to cut off the ring, try his best not to chase Teofimo the whole fight. That's exactly what a faster fighter wants. Instead, Rolly is going to try to cut off all the exits and force Teofimo toward the ropes. And of course, he's also going to try and attack the body. If Teofimo is going to rely on movement, Rolly needs to attack the body, take away those legs. And he's going to try his best to make Teofimo uncomfortable. The longer Rolly can turn this into an ugly fight, the better his chances become. He's going to try to not allow Teofimo to establish a rhythm. He's going to try to allow him to fight at his preferred distance. And it's another interesting element here. These two aren't strangers. They've trained together, they've sparred together, they have a personal history as longtime friends who have trained and sparred together, which means each man should have a pretty good idea of what the other is capable of. That could actually make the fight even more tactical. Neither fighter should be surprised by the other one's physical abilities. But the question is, who has improved since the sparring days? Is that going to be the same look, or are there going to be a lot of changes? The biggest X factor for me is Teofimo Lopez moving to 147 pounds, because we know that Teofimo can do what Teofimo can do at his best. We've seen him beat Lomachenko. We've seen him beat Josh Taylor when Josh Taylor was in his prime. We've seen the athleticism, but now he's stepping into a division where the physical dimensions change, and he's doing it immediately against the reigning WBA champion. Best believe that will play a part. This is a much harder fight to predict than it might look on paper. Teofimo is the more naturally gifted boxer. I believe he has the better speed. I believe he has the better footwork. And technically, I think he has more ways to win. But Rolly has something that cannot be ignored, and that's the size and the power. And we've already seen him prove that he can go 12 rounds and execute a disciplined game plan against Ryan Garcia. He's going to be coming into this fight with that momentum. Teofimo is also coming off a disappointing loss against Shakur Stevenson, so we don't know exactly how he'll respond. He might be trying to get his leg back in this fight, or might be coming in with that negative energy. But with all said and done, being objective, even though I do want Rolly Romero to win this fight, I have to go with Teofimo Lopez. I think he's going to edge a unanimous decision. I think Rolly has some dangerous moments, especially early, but Teofimo's speed and counter punching should allow him to control the majority of the exchanges. I expect Teofimo to avoid prolonged firefights, pick his shots, attack the body, and win enough rounds to take the decisions. Teofimo is trying to prove he's still elite. Rolly is trying to prove the Ryan Garcia victory wasn't a fluke. Pretty much speed versus power. But let me know what you think in the comments. Where do you think I'm tripping and you think I'm wrong in my pick? You think I should go with the underdog with Rolly Romero here? Don't forget to like this video if you like the video. If you want more breakdowns like this, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.